Today is Monday, February 24th. We're talking about more shakeups at the highest levels of government and the response from federal workers now that Elon Musk has told them to justify their jobs. Also, we'll update you on Pope Francis' latest health scare and a measles outbreak that's growing quickly in the U.S. Plus, what to know about the largest crypto heist in history, how Major League Baseball players are making use of robot umpires, and who won big at the last major award show before the Oscars. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The federal workforce is changing more and more, even in the highest ranks of the military and the Justice Department. For starters, President Trump fired the top U.S. military officer. We're talking about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Charles Q. Brown, Jr. He was the first black man to lead a branch of the military as Air Force Chief before President Biden promoted him. But Trump's new defense secretary has criticized him for being overly focused on diversity. Brown's firing is effective immediately. Same deal for 5 other senior officers who were fired on Friday. On Truth Social, President Trump thanked General Brown for 40 years of service. Then he took an unusual step of picking a little-known retired 3-star officer as the next chairman. Lieutenant General John Dan Raisin Kane is a career fighter jet pilot who actually has not served in any of the leadership roles required for the nomination. So Trump is likely to waive the requirements. Kane still needs to be confirmed by the Senate, though. Meanwhile, another one of Trump's picks is already expanding his role only days after getting confirmed. Kash Patel was just sworn in as FBI director on Friday, and now many reports say he's expected to be sworn in as the director of ATF this week. And that's the agency responsible for enforcing laws that deal with firearms, explosives, and arson. Specifically, it's in charge of licensing federal firearms dealers, tracing guns used in crimes, and analyzing intelligence in shooting investigations. Over the weekend, the ATF's top lawyer was fired because the new attorney general, Pam Bondi, said the agency was unfairly targeting gun owners. Now it's not clear what's next for the agency, especially with Kash Patel doing double duty. So, to be continued. There's a controversial new directive in from President Trump's most influential advisor. On Saturday evening, Elon Musk told all 2.3 million federal workers they need to summarize everything they accomplished last week. They're supposed to put it in an email due today at noon. But several government agency leaders told their staffs not to do it, explaining how their work is sensitive and at times classified. Many more have been trying to field calls, texts, and emails from confused employees to figure out what to do. Some people have apparently gotten opposite instructions from different supervisors. Plus, this all happened over a weekend when a lot of offices were closed. But Musk still raised the stakes. On social media, he posted that any employee who did not respond to his email would be treated as having resigned. Of course, thousands of other workers have already been fired. President Trump seemed to poke fun at people upset by it all, posting a picture on social media of SpongeBob SquarePants making his own list of what he did last week. It goes like this: cried about Trump, cried about Elon, made it into the office for once. Also over the weekend, the president spoke for more than an hour in front of the Conservative Political Action Conference. There, Trump spoke about dominating Washington and sending bureaucrats packing. And he predicted that the GOP will continue to win and defy history. The truce in Gaza is looking especially shaky since both Israel and Hamas now accuse each other of violating their deal. Israel delayed releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners who were supposed to be exchanged for hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu now says the prisoners will only be freed if Hamas promises to release the rest of the hostages without what he said were humiliating ceremonies. Just a couple of days ago, Israeli hostages were paraded on a stage, as they have been in earlier releases too. Hamas also put out a video of other hostages being forced to watch others get released and then beg for their own freedom. The 6-week ceasefire is set to expire this weekend, and it's not clear yet if there's real talk about a possible extension. Meanwhile, the Israeli military deployed tanks to the occupied West Bank for the first time in more than 2 decades, and troops were told to prepare for an extended stay to fight Palestinian militant groups in West Bank refugee camps. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have already been displaced from their homes in the West Bank over the past month. And the Palestinian president says it's a dangerous escalation. But Israel says it's only out to fight terrorism by all means. All of this is bound to come up when President Trump's Middle East envoy travels to the region later this week. Much like the U.S. and other European countries, Germany is making a more conservative turn. German voters went from having a left-leaning government to electing a new right-leaning leader yesterday. Centrist conservative Friedrich Merz won the election that drew the highest voter turnout in decades. His party received about 30% of the vote. Coming in second place was the group known as Alternative for Germany. It actually doubled its support in what was the strongest showing for a far-right party since World War II. The last party to be in charge came in third in what was its worst showing since the 19th century. Now it's up to all of them to work to tackle Germans' concerns about the economy, immigration, and growing uncertainty over Europe's alliance with the U.S. Speaking of which, French President Emmanuel Macron is becoming the first European leader to travel to the U.S. Capitol since President Trump's second inauguration. He'll be meeting with Trump today. Then the UK's leader, Keir Starmer, will visit the White House later this week. All right, we have more news for you still ahead. But first, a quick break for our sponsor, OneSkin. You may have heard the word peptide in skincare before, but apparently they're not all created equal. OneSkin's OS1 peptide does not just sit on the top of the skin. It's scientifically formulated to penetrate the cells within skin's deeper layers, improving key skin health markers like collagen production, hydration, and skin barrier function. Plus, from my less scientific view of just using it every morning and night, I love the feel of OneSkin's face and eye topical supplements. They're lightweight, not greasy, but still very hydrating, and it seems to be making a positive difference for my skin. Plus, I appreciate that OneSkin believes the purpose of skincare is not just about how you look, but also to optimize your skin's biology. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code NEWSWORTHY at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code NEWSWORTHY. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Okay, now back to the news. Texas and New Mexico are seeing a jump in measles cases, and at least one outbreak could be getting worse. There are now nearly 100 cases reported, mostly in children, and officials suspect the actual number of illnesses is more like 300. Most of the cases have been out of rural West Texas. Others are in neighboring New Mexico. As a reminder, measles is extremely contagious, and a person who has an infection can spread it for 4 days before developing symptoms. Those symptoms include high fever, runny nose, cough, and a distinct rash. In Texas and New Mexico, none of the patients were up to date on their measles, mumps, rubella vaccines. So both Texas and New Mexico healthcare workers are hosting several vaccination clinics to offer shots to others who might not have them. Pope Francis's health has taken a turn for the worse. He had a respiratory crisis on Saturday night, and as of early this morning, he's in critical condition. Besides having pneumonia in both lungs, the Vatican says Pope Francis is now showing mild signs of kidney failure. But the 88-year-old pontiff is apparently still alert and responsive, and he asked Catholics all around the world to pray for him. So special masses were held yesterday, and letters and pictures were delivered to the hospital telling Pope Francis to get well soon. It's believed to be the largest crypto heist in history. Cryptocurrency exchange Bybit was hacked, and analysts estimate the loss at nearly $1.5 billion worth of tokens. They believe North Korean hackers were likely responsible. Bybit told customers not to panic, though, that it will mostly be able to cover the loss while also trying to get the funds back. Separately, there's a new warning about a Chinese ransomware group that's been targeting organizations all around the world. The FBI published a security advisory about the so-called Ghost Group. It says Ghost has launched ransomware attacks on critical infrastructure, schools, government networks, religious institutions, and a lot more. So now the FBI is encouraging all organizations to make sure they've applied all available security updates and backed up their systems. Major League Baseball spring training is in full swing now. And this year, all the players, coaches, and umpires will be joined by robot umps, too. They're part of what's called the Automated Ball Strike Challenge System. Here's how it works. If a batter, pitcher, or catcher wants to challenge a call the human umpires make at home plate, they tap their helmet or cap. But they have to do so within 2 seconds. Then the robot umpires decide whether the pitch was indeed a ball or a strike. Each team gets just 2 challenges a game. But if they want, players can look at iPads to see how the computer would have called every pitch. If all goes well, fans could see robot umpires in regular season games as early as next year. There were plenty of surprises at last night's Screen Actors Guild Awards. For starters, Conclave won for Best Ensemble. over Anora, which won at the Producers, Directors, and Writers Guilds. In another upset, Timothée Chalamet took the top acting prize for his work as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown, even though Adrian Brody was considered the frontrunner. In less of a surprise, Demi Moore continued her winning streak, taking home the top acting prize for her work in Substance. Kristen Bell hosted the ceremony. This is another show seen as a preview of the Oscars coming up this weekend. By the way, the NAACP Image Awards also happened over the weekend, honoring people of color in TV, music, literature, and film, and those who promote social justice. This year, one of the night's biggest winners was the Netflix war drama called The 688. It won Outstanding Motion Picture, and the movie's star, Kerry Washington, took home Best Actress. Best Actor went to Martin Lawrence for Bad Boys Ride or Die. Meanwhile, Keke Palmer was named Entertainer of the Year. The Wayans family was inducted into the NAACP Hall of Fame. And former Vice President Kamala Harris accepted the organization's prestigious Chairman's Award. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Hiya Health. Whether my kiddo is in an eat-anything phase or buttered noodles only phase, I at least know Hiya's best-selling children's vitamins are helping to fill gaps in his diet and support his growing body and brain no matter what. I started giving him Hiya vitamins right when he turned 2, and now at 3.5 years old, he's still loving them as part of his morning routine. So much so that we've also added in Hiya's Kids Probiotic along the way. I love that Hiya is made with 0 sugar, tastes great, and that every batch is third-party tested for heavy metals, so I know they're safe and nutritious. And if you're tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens, Hiya now has Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfoods, a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with more than 55 whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. This deal is not available on their regular website. So go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Okay, now back to Money Monday. Thrifting is becoming more popular than ever. There are a lot of reasons for this trend. Many people shop at thrift stores because they want to put less waste in the environment than they would if they were to buy new. Others seem to enjoy the thrill of the hunt, finding unique items and posting some of their best thrift finds on social media. But in a recent survey, the vast majority of people told CouponFollow that they are thrifting to save money. CouponFollow asked 1,000 thrifters and found they saved, on average, more than $2,000 last year. Still, thrift stores are not immune to inflation, and prices are going up. These days, though, even thrifters can shop around. Besides the usual thrift, vintage, and consignment stores, there are plenty of apps out there now that will help you buy secondhand and save some cash. As far as what to thrift, some of the most popular items include clothing, furniture, kitchenware, and collectibles. And then there are people who buy almost everything secondhand. For example, one bride recently went viral for her thrift store wedding with all decorations she found at thrift stores. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back with even more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.